Wow, it happened again. This is becoming the theme of this country. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of Tirade TV. First of all, if you like this type of content, please like, share, and subscribe. Definitely comment. All comments are welcome as long as it's tasteful and respectful. Thank you very much for that. Um, hey, let's get right into it. It happened again. It happened once again. Um, Saw this news story here that's sweeping the country right now. And what is it? Yes, once again, a Memphis shooting rampage, part of which was live streamed, leaves 4 people dead and 3 wounded, and a suspect in custody. This article here is according to CNN. Goes on to say a 19-year-old man was arrested Wednesday after live streaming part of a shooting rampage that left 4 people dead and 3 others injured and upended life throughout Memphis as residents were told to shelter in place, police said. Mm, wow, it's mm. The hours-long rampage, which also led to the suspension of public bus and trolley service, came less than a week after the high-profile kidnapping and murder of a school teacher who was out jogging and left the city's mayor enraged over the wanton violence. Quote, I am angry for them, and I am angry for our citizens who have had to shelter in place for their own safety until the suspect was caught. This is no way for us to live, and it is not acceptable. I agree. And said Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland, who offered his condolences to the victims' families. Quote, the people of our city were confronted with the type of violence no one should have to face, unquote. Goes on to say here, at least one of the shootings was apparently streamed on Facebook Live, ultimately leading to the arrest of Ezekiel Kelly following a high-speed pursuit. Memphis Police Chief Cyril C.J. Davis said during a news conference early Thursday. The shootings began before 1 a.m. Wednesday and continued through the late evening hours, triggering a shelter-in-place order for part of the city as police searched for the gunman. And stop right there. Um, this is something, well, first of all, prayers to the victims, families, and the surviving victims. I mean, this is something that is just becoming too often. Now, my question would be, is it happening more or is it just being reported more? So that's 2 different things because these things could always have happened, but just not been reported as much. Or maybe they are happening more. It's kind of hard to say. But this is a situation where, first of all, I want to know what is the narrative of the media going to be now? What is it going to be? Because the narrative for a while was white man, racist white man going in shooting up black people. That was the narrative for a while. Now you have black men, young black men going out shooting up places. So what is the narrative going to be now? Is it going to be, oh, the black man or the black person was so tired of racism that he decided to go out and just start taking matters into his own hand? What? I mean, what is the narrative going to be? That's my question. But also, when things like this happen, it's always going to come back to the Second Amendment issue. They're going to try to do everything they can to get firearms off the street, which is one thing to get firearms off the streets, but once again, it's a whole different thing to basically take away the rights of law-abiding citizens. Just saying. And I don't know, let me read the rest of the story. I don't know if they said he was using a rifle or a handgun. I haven't read that in the story as of yet, but this is a situation where it's getting worse, y'all. It is getting worse out there in the streets. It's at the point you can't really go shopping. You can't go anywhere without the thought of this possibly happening. Now, me personally, I think that's why more people should be allowed um, to carry firearms, at least handguns, concealed. I don't know if you should be just out walking in public just showing them, but if they're concealed, I would have no problem with that. Because honestly, I think if there had been more people with concealed guns in that area, and we don't know who was concealed and who wasn't. I mean, who knows? But I just think if there's a good, trustworthy, law abiding citizen who had a concealed handgun on him at the time legally, maybe they would have attempted to stop the young man. But this is just all too often now. All too often. Story also goes on to read here, quote, our citizens in Memphis and Shelby County were going about their business, getting off from work, picking up children from daycare, just going about their ordinary lives when it was all of a sudden shattered, unquote. Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner said, quote, many families will never ever get over the horrific violence that we saw, that one individual inflicted on the city tonight, unquote. Mm, that's a photo of the young man there. Um, and honestly, I don't like to judge anyone. I'm not trying to judge anyone, but when I first saw this photo, I mean, he took this photo, and I don't know if this is a recent photo, a mugshot. I don't think this is recent. I don't know, but if you all know, correct me on that. But I don't think it's recent. But I mean, the guy looked like he's posing for a yearbook photo. That's what he looks like. A yearbook photo right here. I mean, he seems as though just by the look on his face, just in my opinion, whatever he did when he got arrested here and got this mugshot taken, he looked like he didn't have much remorse. I don't know. That does not that face there at that particular time, this photo did not look like a remorseful person, but I could definitely be wrong. Goes on to say the first shooting was reported around 12:56 a.m. in the 3100 block of Lindale Avenue. Responding officers found a male victim in a driveway and he was pronounced dead at the scene, Davis said. Once again, prayers out for the male victim there, his family, friends, neighbors. That's why we have to continue to be a praying people, y'all. Y'all don't understand this. We're fighting we're in a spiritual war right now, and people looking at this as if it's more of a physical thing. It's spiritual war that actually is manifesting itself in the physical, if that makes sense to you. So we have to fight spiritually because you can't, like, as much as I am. Let me take it back to me just for a second, because as much as I am for as much as I am for the Second Amendment, and I do believe in it, I also believe that we cannot fight a spiritual war using physical tools. We have to fight this war in the spirit by staying in the Word of God, by continuing to pray, for and with others, by not letting outside influences, you know, dictate what's going on within the church. Let the church be the church. When you go to church, don't go to church looking for anything else but Jesus. If you're looking for anything else, you're going for the wrong reason. You're going for the wrong reason. We go there to look for Jesus, have a relationship with Jesus. That's it. Anything outside of that, I'm sorry, you're going for the wrong reason. And like I said, a constant, consistent prayer life, studying the Word of God so you'll know what's true in the Word of God. That's the only thing that's going to help this. The only thing that's going to fight, combat, and overcome what's going on right now. Now, if there are times where God calls us to use or tells us to use, physical tools or fight in the physical, we'll be ready for that also. We need to pray for that also, that we're ready for that. Anyways, let's get back to the, well, I tell you. how the shootings unfolded. The homicide suspect known as Zeke Huncho, I guess that's his street name, I guess. He was later identified as Ezekiel Kelly, David said in the news conference. And this is all allegedly, by the way, until we actually figure out more. This is all alleged. At 4:38 p.m., officers responded to another shooting in the 900 block of South Parkway East, where they found a man in his vehicle with multiple gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Once again, prayers and to this man's family and friends, neighbors. God bless y'all. I pray for y'all to get as much peace as possible in a time like this. Video surveillance from a nearby business captured the gunman pulling up next to the victim in a gray sedan and firing multiple shots before driving away, Davis said. Minutes later, at 4:40 p.m., officers responded to a shooting at Norris Road and I-240 and found a woman with a gunshot wound in the leg. She was taken to the hospital in non-critical condition. The suspect fled in a dark-colored sedan, Davis said. So the lady here this lady looked like she survived non-critical condition, but still, it was definitely, I'm sure it was traumatic for her. So we definitely pray for her also. More than an hour later, at 5:59 p.m., officers responded to a shooting at a store, the 400 block of Jackson Avenue. Quote, Ezekiel Kelly was on Facebook Live when he opened fire inside the store, unquote, Davis said. So he took the time to go on Facebook Live and show himself opening fire. That is one sick, twisted, deranged individual. I mean, there's not a whole lot else you can add to that. It is. Responding officers found a male with a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Prayers for that guy also. A short time later at 6:12 p.m., police received a call from a concerned citizen that someone with the name quote-unquote Zeke Huncho was live on Facebook saying he was, quote, threatening to cause harm to citizens, unquote, Davis said. So this guy, he want to be bold with his. He's just going to put his stuff out there on Facebook Live and say, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Now, we have all this going on. I'm going to just stop right here for a second. We have all of this going on in our country right now, in our cities. The wonderful people and the citizens of the United States of America, we have this going on. But yet, we have the nerve and the time to worry about Ukraine right now. And don't get me wrong, I know that there are people in Ukraine who are citizens of Ukraine who, maybe have lost some family members, maybe hungry, displaced right now, going through a lot. But I always find it hard for the leadership to be more concerned about providing help and assistance to other countries when we have this going on right here in the United States. I mean, we have places, not Mississippi, but also other places where there are water shortages. And then we have people going around basically, opening fire on people like it's a freaking video game. But yet, we're concerned about other countries right now. Yes, I do have a problem with that. And I am an American first person, America first. Doesn't mean that I don't want to help someone else or other countries. But once again, you have to answer the question, why or how can we help someone else when we have issues here? Think of it, look at it as a much smaller scale, a much smaller level, an individual household. How can you go tell someone else what to do in their household or help them when when your household is in complete chaos? Take care of your own household first, then you'll be able to go and better help someone else. But that doesn't seem to be, I guess, the ideology of the current leadership. It seems as though they're cool with people walking around here just opening fire on people, thinking that, okay, well, let's just take away all guns and that's going to stop, what's going on. Because look what happened in Canada. You take away firearms, then what? There's a possibility of mass stabbings. So obviously, something's going on over here, and we're not too concerned about it. We're more concerned about Ukraine and other countries. We have a fentanyl problem. Like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I read that the leading cause of death for people, I think, from the ages of 18 to 45, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is fentanyl. That's an issue. Why are we not taking care of that? We have illegals coming across the border pretty much at will. Of course, you have certain people saying that people just aren't walking across the border. Yes, they are. And not all of them are from, Hispanic countries. Some of them are from Russia. Some of them are from China. They are walking across the border. That's just to add to what's going on. Just saying. But we don't seem to be concerned about that. We're concerned about some, I guess, some files that a former president had in his in Mar-a-Lago. We're concerned about us. We're still actually, believe it or not, we're still actually concerned about a certain day in January 2021. We're still concerned about that. It doesn't make sense. But yet we have this going on. We have a million other things going on. Food prices up, gas prices. They've come down a little bit recently, but from where they were, let's say back in 2019, they're still much higher. Come on, people. You have farmers out there who are basically are being told, let's be honest, to destroy their crops and everything. Doesn't make sense. But if you're questioning all this, you can't tell me that this is not in your mind right now. You can't tell me this is not something you're thinking. But yet it's almost like we're afraid to question our current leadership. Anyways, what else we got here? Um, of course, this is a more, I guess, recent photo of the young man. I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure if it's even more recent. Just a different photo of him. He loves smiling. I can tell you that. This is it's a shame here. What do you all think about this story here? Do you think we should start paying more attention? Do you think that more people should be allowed to carry firearms? People who can legally obtain firearms. I'm not talking about just anyone. If you're not able to purchase one legally, then no. And it didn't say anything about the firearm in this story that he was using. It didn't say if he legally purchased it or if it was a quote unquote ghost gun. Or I think they did say, I think they did say it was did they say a gunshot wound maybe? But that's all it said was a gunshot. So for some reason they didn't really put that in the story. I'm assuming, this is just me, I'm assuming it wasn't a rifle, because when it's a rifle, they generally put it in there that it's a rifle. But you know what? Let me let me see here, because I really want to know what type of. I'm looking through another article here on a different website here. I want to know if anyone says, see that CNN story, I don't think it said it. I want to know if, let's see. Oh, I'm reading here on CNN, and I'll leave the link to this article here. But says Ezekiel D. Kelly, the 19-year-old Memphis. Well, let me turn that volume there down. Okay. There we go. Goes on to say, this is Fox News I'm reading right now. It says, Ezekiel D. Kelly, the 19-year-old Memphis, Tennessee man accused of live streaming a series of shootings in outside the city Wednesday, has a violent criminal history and was released from prison after a 2020 shooting, according to authorities. Okay. He's accused of killing 4 and wounding another 3, in addition to a pair of armed carjackers. So the car, he actually did a couple of armed carjacking. So this is, you know, I guess being a criminal is not new to this young man. He allegedly streamed portions of the rampage on Facebook. Those videos have since been taken down, of course. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland revealed during a Wednesday night news briefing that Kelly was charged with attempted first-degree murder, but pleaded guilty to a downgraded aggravated assault charge in April 2021. So here's a guy who probably should still be in prison anyway right now. Kelly received a 3-year prison sentence but was released in March after serving just 11 months. Well, that's part of the problem there. So there's a possibility that if this guy serves out his whole term or his whole sentence, this doesn't happen. If Mr. Kurt, well, keep reading here. If Mr. Kelly served his full 3-year sentence, he would still be in prison today, and 4 of our fellow citizens would still be alive, unquote. Mm. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking to see if it still says anything about the type of weapon or firearm that was used. I'm not seeing it anywhere. See, it just says gunshot wound. One person has a gunshot wound. Uh, I may look for it later. It doesn't really say in the stories, but see, if you hear gunshots or anything like that, we're asking everyone to head back. Okay, that's that. Once again, gunshot wound. I'm seeing the word gunshot a lot, but I'm not seeing what type of. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to look at that later and find out exactly what type of firearm was used. Anyways, on to a more, I guess, a lighter story maybe. There's a lot of racism going on supposedly in this country, right? And first of all, I am what you would call a black conservative. I'm not the type of black conservative that's going to tell you that racism does not exist. In my opinion, it doesn't exist as much as most people think, but it does still exist. Now, I can tell you this. I believe that leadership or government, they are they're basically using racism, quote unquote racism, or they're exploiting racism. Let's put it that way. They're using racism to get particular agendas accomplished. Does that make sense? And I was looking at this story here. I seem like everyone or everything seems to be racist right now, right? And I'm looking at this story here, and it's like it was funny, but it's not funny. According to NPR here, it says forehead thermometer readings may not be as accurate for black patients, study finds. And my first thought when I read that was, okay, so now forehead thermometers are racist. What do you know? It says forehead thermometers may not be as accurate in reading temperatures for black hospitalized patients compared to oral thermometers, according to researchers at Emory University and the University of Hawaii. The chances of a forehead thermometer detecting fevers in black patients were 26% lower than oral thermometers. Though the differences were small, the researchers noted that fevers could slip under the radar if the number is below commonly used thresholds. Wow. Quote, if fevers are going undetected, then alerts are not being activated, unquote, said Doctor, and you see that name there? I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. That is like a 20-letter name right there. And I would assume his friends or colleagues call him something for short. I guarantee you they're not pronouncing that whole name. Let me spell this out for you. You ready for the first name? Sivasubramanium. That's too much, man. Lead author on the study and an assistant professor at Emory. The differences in detection of fevers could lead to delays in antibiotics and medical care for Black patients. The lag could even lead to an increased death rate in Black patients, according to the study. In a sample size of 2,031 Black patients and 2,344 white patients, the oral and forehead temperatures were taken within an hour of each other on the patient's first day in the hospital. Temperatures did not vary significantly for white patients. Why is this happening? There could be two reasons. Let's see. Forehead or temporal thermometers measure temperatures through infrared radiation. Skin pigmentation could affect its ability to emit light, radiation, or heat, the study said, a concept known as skin emissivity. Wow. Though a separate study published by the National Institute of Health did not find significant variance in skin emissivity between skin tones, or the varying temporal thermometer readings found in the study could be due to not scanning the forehead properly, researchers said. I'm going to go with that last one, the latter right there, that they're not scanning the forehead properly. That's what I'm going to go with, because it seemed like they're putting the narrative out that so-called everything is just working against the Black person right now. Now, I do think this is some kind of ploy to get more Black people to come to the hospitals when they have fever or when they think they have a fever. I think this is a way for them to put more Black people or get more Black people to get injected or take the old jabby jab, because they could always say, well, the temporal thermometer wasn't accurate. You actually do have a fever. You see what I mean? So this is real funny to me. It's not funny when someone's sick. It's not funny when someone's ill. It's not funny when someone has a fever. But if you're going to tell me that a temporal thermometer does not read well or does not accurately display the temperature on a Black person, but it does on a white person, that's crazy. What do you think their agenda is for this one? Let me know in the comments, because this is I'm really wanting to laugh right now. Not the fact that someone's having fever, but the fact that basically, in my opinion, they're saying that thermometers are racist. Thermometers don't like Black people either. Oh man, this is I don't know, it's too much. What do y'all think about these stories? In the comments, let me know what you think about the Memphis shootings and also the quote unquote racist thermometers. I hit the mic right there, my apologies. But please let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. And once again, please be a praying people. We need to be a praying people. Thanks for joining. See you.